Hey guys, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm going to be going over my Flunder deck I play for the YCS, and I'm going to talk about the feature match I was in. But this is essentially the list. Give me 1 second. I'm going to put this on socials real quick. I'm probably going to do the profile in a minute. I want to see if a couple people come in. If you're watching on YouTube, I recommend skipping ahead a little bit. I'm going to go over the deck profile and talk about siding patterns and my general experience too. Yeah. But yeah, very standard Flunder list. As you can see, the sideboard might not be too standard, but I think the main board is mostly standard. So going over it really quickly, we got 3-dimensional shifter, 3 Eaglin, 2 M-Pen, 3 Urbina, 2 Stree, 1 Toucan, 1 Apex, 1 Ryza, 1 Callby, 1 Dark Ruler, 3 Adventure, 3 Map, 1 Unexplored, 3 Duality, 3 Prosperity, 1 Swallow, 1 Terraforming, 1 Talents, 2 Thrusts, 2 Evenly, 1 Dreaming Town, and 1 Featherstorm. In the sideboard, we got 2 Ash, 1 Kiss the Kill and Leela, 2 Cosmic, another Unexplored, Feather Duster, Herald, 3 Ultimate Slayer, 1 Different Dimension Ground, 1 Evenly, and 2 Featherstorm. And then the extra deck is mostly just Ultimate Slayer targets. I guess the extra deck monsters you do actually would summon would be Anima, SP, Typhon, Nightingale, Downerd, and Zeus. I did summon Typhon, and I did summon Anima SP at certain points. But again, the core is mostly pretty basic. I opted for 1 Dark Ruler, 2 Evenly. I actually was on 3 Evenly for a while. The issue with triple Evenly, there's certain situations against. There's like weird situations where you'll have like Thrust plus Evenly or Thrust plus Dark Ruler, and you can like have access to both. You'll see in the feature that like I was fortunate enough to draw both Dark Ruler and Evenly against Snake Eyes going second. Fun fact, I went 1-9 in die rolls this event. So Evenly definitely put in a lot of work during those situations. Evenly was definitely like personally my MVP for the event. But yeah, there's certain situations where you need both Dark Ruler and Evenly. That's why I opted for the 1 Dark Ruler and the 2 Evenly. But I do prefer Evenly in general. Flunder lineup's pretty standard. I'm trying to think what else. I tried 0, 1, 2, 3 of Swallow's Calorie. I opted for 1 because I treat it as a 4th copy of Adventure. This card is like really good to get your engine going, but like in the later in the game or like when you already have engine, this card's like not that great. But I wanted to have like a pseudo 4th copy of Adventure since I am playing at least double Stree. So I do think one was correct. Talents is relatively important in this deck. You need it either between the main board or sideboard. I won a lot of games just because this card was in my main deck. The ability to like just steal an Appaloosa your opponent has and continue on with your plays when you have map or something was like super important. I'm really glad this card was in my main board. Callby was actually I want to talk really quick about Callby. I think this is like relatively standard, but I was actually playing Extrav over this for a minute. I really glad I put this in. over Extrav. I wanted a card that was good going first, but the issue I had with Extrav is like I was playing harder into hand traps, and I just wanted like another go first defensive card where I could like play my engine. So Ultimate Call By definitely helped out in that regard. I really like the thrust package in this deck. It's the main reason I think this deck is viable. Like the fact you need to play at least one Featherstorm. Just having access to one Featherstorm lets you do in the main board lets you do like a lot of thrust plus. I mean, it should be pretty obvious. Thrust plus Featherstorm is pretty much an auto win when you already have engine. I wanted to focus as much on the auto win aspect as possible while having some board breaking aspect. So this is like pretty much the main board for the most part. Ash was or actually let me start from the right here. Two feather for going first. It was relatively easy to sideboard. Generally against most of the combo or control decks, you side in two Featherstorm and different Dimension Ground, and you take out the two Evilings and Dark Rulers. Generally, there are some exception matches, like if you play against Kashtira, or the mirror match. Well, the mirror match you'd sideboard a lot differently, but like against Kashtira, you wouldn't sideboard this card. I'd sideboard Unexplored Winds instead for going first, just because you have you want to just. This card isn't bad. It can fix a bad hand potentially. And then like you sideboard a little differently against like the mirror and like the stun type decks and lab. Ultimate Slayer, I was just always glad this card was in my hand going second. This is real. So I decided on Ultimate Slayer because I was slightly concerned about Colossus. Like I was very much between this and Dark Ruler for a while. I personally have always liked Ultimate Slayer, but there was one situation I was having trouble dealing with. Is like you need like going second if your opponent sets like an Appaloosa plus Colossus. It's kind of hard to deal with when you're playing this deck. But with Ultimate Slayer and you play the one brick with it, you Ultimate Slayer the Appaloosa back to the extra deck, and you can Evil Twin to deal with the Colossus. So that it's Ultimate Slayer is also good against just all the Snake Eye variants because you're getting. You really need to value your since the Snake Eye deck is generating like so much advantage going first. That this is like the only card where you can like generate advantage back to break their board and then reestablish your own board going second. The fact that your opponent can't respond on monster effects is also huge with this card. So I Ultimate Slayered like Hot Red. Someone Hot Red against me. I was sending back Appaloosa a lot off Ultimate Slayer. So it definitely helped out a lot. Herald of the Abyss was mostly for the Towers type decks. This card will never leave my sideboard when I'm playing this deck. This is like a mandatory card you just have to play in my opinion. Just on the off chance your opponent is playing Pearly. This is like or the Raid Raptor deck. Like this plus evenly match is like really the only way to deal with this type of boards going second. Feather Duster's self-explanatory. Second copy of Unexplored was just really solid for siding and going second. Like when you activate this card, your opponent kind of just has to deal with it, especially when you like go like just normal summon a bird. Like this is like a real board breaker type card. Like if this up with a bird just should win you like a lot of games for the most part. Two Cosmic, the Evil Twin Brick, and two Ash. Ash was never really. I actually never sided in an Ash like once. This was mostly to deal with Labyrinth and like the Mirror and potentially the Runic matchup. I didn't play against any of them. I played against like one Voiceless, one Branded, and the rest were just either Fire King Snake Eye or Pure Snake Eye for me. My losses were to all Pure Snake Eye. One matchup I did feel was pretty much unwinnable. Because awkwardly enough, he was playing Way to Summon Hot Red, which it's basically Jet Synchron into Diabellstar into Scarred Red, Scarred Red into Hot Red. You get Red Dragon Archfiend out for free, and then you can use that as link material for something else. So it was an interesting concept. I actually cleared the board of like I basically cleared his whole board between the field spell, hot ride, Appaloosa, but there was one back row I had trouble, wasn't sure what it was, and it ended up being strike, and that was like the last thing I couldn't deal with. My second loss, I just played horrendously. Like I was like I was like throwing like game my game one against them so bad, and then I break game two. So like if there was a loss I definitely deserved, it was definitely my second loss. And then we'll go over into the feature match really quickly. Like pretty much what happened. So I do have the feature match queued up.
Well, definitely, but let's go ahead and jump right into it. It is going to be game one of
Hopefully
round
it's not
10 that we're
too
jumping
loud.
straight into. First, we have to meet our players before we get to game one. First,
I do have
it's the
headphones.
legend, the
Oh, look at that
champion,
handsome guy.
Andrew Fidella. He's from Boca Raton, Florida. His favorite card is Guardian Iatos.
That's a classic.
Oh, yeah.
I've done a lot of damage with that card myself. Oh, and facing him is Jose Carlo Carrillo from Santa Ana, California.
All right.
His favorite card, Gelen Duo.
That is a fun one. Both those cards, something I like about them, are they're amazing.
I'm a
artworks on
little
the card.
shy,
I mean, that's something that kind of separates.
to be honest, to
from
be
a
on
lot of
video
other
here
games,
because
is how amazing our cards
I've been trying to
look
lose
beyond,
weight, but
how
like you can
incredible,
really.
Our game
I just
actually
like
is
really
the
see like how
artworks
much
tell
weight I need to
stories of
lose
themselves,
just based on
inspire
this
people to
video.
come up with their own kind of like, what are these things all trying to tell us through their artwork?
My
It's one of
mindset at
favorite
this point
parts
was
about
like,
the
can I win a die roll for
sure.
finally?
Cards are really fantastic.
Like I was already like,
Both these duels
I
have very
literally
different
just was
cards
like,
and
I couldn't win a die
if
roll
they
the whole
translate
event.
time, they have been in this game for
Um,
quite some time themselves.
I also had the mindset of
Definitely.
like,
mean,
I was
these are
okay
veterans
losing
of
here.
the tournament scene. I mean,
I just didn't want to lose the
won,
next round.
a Shonen Jump Championship before they were called
But it also
YCS,
sucks to
these were
lose
called
on stream.
SJCs.
But
He
I
won
guess
one
we'll
of those-
see
one
when
and
we
a
get to the
half
match.
so long ago. I think he actually came in second place at the other one against John Jensen, I believe. I mean, this is it's probably names y'all haven't heard because it is from my childhood when I was younger.
This is before my time, Billy. I'm sorry to say.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Fidella has been around for quite some time, and now he is back. At a 7-2 record,
I've
trying
known
to
Billy
make that
for
top
quite- I've been
32
around for
to
quite a
walk
while,
away
guys.
with another
I've been
championship,
around for quite a
another
while.
trophy, and a prize card to go with it. But Jose is in his way.
Yeah, Jose, definitely no slouch either. Within the previous season, he actually has multiple second-place finishes. I believe he was only one game away from going to the World Championship. He was just a little short.
I had no
This past year?
idea.
No, yeah,
to
I
be
do
honest.
remember that. It's so close, but now sometimes when you're just close enough and then you don't make it, it kind of fuels your fire to try even harder so you can get back to that point and have another opportunity like that. And sitting with a 7-2 record, he is going to have just that, a chance to make the top 32 cutoff here and become a YCS champion eventually. I mean, that's always the end goal for these players. But going back to the decks, you kind of touched on it before. You were expecting a lot of Snake Eye. There's been other strategies that emerged. We have birds and snakes going at it. Typically, you'd think, birds pretty strong against snakes, right? Come down, grab them with their talons. But these birds, we're going to have to see how they do. We saw a couple of Floowandereeze yesterday, maybe just one. I'm not sure how it's going to match up against the Snake Eye strategy. It always has that one key card that they can use, Dimension Shifter. We saw Steven Santoli use it to success yesterday. But let's go and see if Dimension Shifter is going to make an appearance here in game number one.
I think we have to give Flu a little bit more credit than that because most
yeah,
of the interruptions.
I rolled a 5. I'm like,
that
okay,
the
this is
Snake
how it's
Eye
going to
provides
start.
Are mostly
Yep.
monster removal, which Flu just loves. You're not really worried about the monsters being removed. They will just generate more and more as long as you're not actually stopping the effects. But since losing Barons and Savage, it's really hard to find those ways to stop the effects, especially when they can often chain block themselves by putting one of the not summoned birds as chain link 2. So they can resolve quite a lot.
So he's doing his
Indeed,
basic
they
Snake
can.
Eye combo
it
here.
looks like Jose's going to try and resolve
I
Snake
saw
Eye.
my hand, I'm
Sure,
like,
he
oh
won the
wow,
die
I
roll,
can
and
break
it
his
looks
whole
like it is
board.
going to resolve.
That was like my only
Still,
like saving
there
grace.
is
I'm
that
like,
looming
because I drew the
possibility
Dark
of
Ruler
the
plus
dimension being
evenly.
shifted.
I'm like, all right,
There's no
do the
necessarily
whole Snake Eye
reason to use it
combo.
yet. The only reason to have shotgunned it is because you would want to play around a card like Triple Tactics Talents, but you'd still be playing into Triple Tactics Thrust. I think you want your opponent to commit resources, especially since if you do activate Dimension Shifter in the beginning of the turn, they will immediately pivot to go into Temple for the Oak and being able to just leave an IP Masquerena and then being able to threaten Appaloosa on their turn. So maybe you just want them to commit more of their resources before that point, so not necessarily out of the picture yet.
Yeah, I think now would be the time to drop it because he could send the Snake Eye Ash and the Poplar for Flamers, but it doesn't look like he has it. Well, he could still be holding it because he doesn't use the Ash effect just yet. He's going to go for Divine Temple.
It makes sense. Like, if you're not actively just trying to play around Dimension Shifter, I think
Yeah.
it makes sense to play like the standard lines here, which would normally put Oak up on the field anyway. So
Generally,
yep,
I
that
was
is going to be
holding
the Oak.
Shifter until I saw what my opponent was playing
Now,
game
if
1.
he waits until
But games
Flame
2
Bridge
and
is on the
3,
field
I would
and
always
then
shotgun the
activate
Shifter
I
to
think
play
that could
around
provide a lot of
talents.
value because at that point the Flame Bridge is
There isn't like really a point to
vulnerable on
shotgun
the
Shifter
field, and there's not enough resources
because
to really
like you
get
could be
back.
playing
Now
against
the
like
Oak is
Cash
in
or the
graveyard,
Mirror, and it's like kind of a
going to be much more
waste.
difficult for
Also, your opponent can
value
just
from the
pass.
temple to try to summon it
You
if
want to just
there
see what
is a
your
Shifter in
opponent's
hand.
playing. I just valued like
But it doesn't seem to
taking
be the
full
case
advantage
right
of Shifter
now.
game
If the Flame Bridge is
1
allowed to hit the graveyard, you're
and
going to get a
running
lot
the
more
risk of
value.
potentially losing the talents.
And there it goes, straight to the graveyard. Do you think Jose probably knows?
But like
what
games 2 and 3,
Fidel
once
is
you
playing
confirm
at
what
this
matchup you're getting,
It's
like if you're
entirely
keeping
possible.
Shifter
You know,
in,
this
then I
late
would
in the
shotgun
tournament,
Shifter.
you're often sitting
just to,
around
like,
a lot of the same
play
people,
around
especially
talents
if you
at
have
that
the same
point.
record. So it's very easy to know what
So yeah,
someone
he's
else is
doing,
playing,
like,
especially if they're playing something
the
a
very
little bit
standard
more
Snake Eye
non-standard like
combo.
Floowandereeze.
Definitely kind of stands out. You want to know who is playing Floowandereeze in the building, especially when we get down to a few players. But he's going to link into Ivy Masquerena. The Poplar is going to put the Snake Eyes Flameburst Dragon and spell on trap card zone when it was sent to the graveyard. The Snake Eyes Flameburst Dragon is going to summon back Snake Eye Ash and Snake Eyes Oak.
I'm going to speed up
and
a
then Snake
little
Eye
bit.
Oak is going to summon back Snake Eyes Poplar. So now we have the IP Masquerena, 3 other monsters on the field. Let's see how he's going to navigate this. He's now going to use the original to send the Flamebridge to the graveyard. He's going to want to bring that back with Promethean Princess later on in his turn.
Yeah, I'm getting the feeling that
I
he
think
knows
speeding
what's
this
going
up
on
is
because that's a
pretty
bold thing to
Oh,
do.
quick
yeah,
because
this is
like I
very bold.
clearly don't have a hand trap
I
here.
know he's not gonna be into it, being a Floowandereeze
So
player,
he's
but
just gonna
not supposed
go
to.
And
do
looks
the
like that
full
Synchron being special
combo.
for the deck thanks to that original Simple Spoil Snake Eye.
When he summoned Jet Synchron, I'm like, oh no.
Let's see which one he's doing. Looks like it's a Synchro Summon for Formula Synchron.
I was like, thank God he didn't go for the Omega
From this
combo
on your opponent's turn.
because like I have the hand to clear his board.
That makes a lot of sense in a matchup like this where they can generate so much value while not being too hindered by your typical strategy, so you want to amass as many resources as possible.
They link summon now Promethean Princess. Promethean Princess is going to bring back the Snake Eyes Flamebird Dragon.
Now you do have access to something along the lines of the Spotter, or you can even go in something along like Sprint because Formula Synchron is a level 2.
Okay, I think.
Sprint is a fire.
Oh no, not yet.
Looks like he is going to link away the Princess and Snake Eyes. Oh, he's using Snake Eye Oak effect to summon from the deck by sending the Princess to the graveyard.
That is going to summon a second copy of Flamebird Dragon.
Looks like he's going to synchro with one of them and wants to leave the other one on the field to be able to push forward that IP Masquerena from the spell and trap card zone to the monster card zone.
Oh yeah, he did make this pattern here though,
Yeah,
but
leave the one in
I
defense
didn't care
so
because I had it evenly.
makes sense. And yeah, everything's going to be defense position. You can argue that it's for Lightning Storm, but it's almost certainly.
So
to
like
make
as
sure
long
that
as
they
he
can
wasn't
activate
doing
the
Omega
effective
Loop,
Floowandereeze
I
like
felt
that.
very comfortable here. So like as long as he wasn't doing Omega Loop,
So it makes the disc pattern. There's nothing banished just yet, so it doesn't have any
Very
utility.
strange, right? I mean,
He knows what he's playing against.
Yeah.
If there was any sign that he knows what he's playing against, this disc batter, it has to be it. Because yeah, it has to shuffle back.
So,
a
like,
banished
my hand
monster,
is
it can
kinda
shuffle back an
crazy for
opponent's
one
banished
second.
monster to negate their monster effect.
like,
But with no cards banished, he knows that Friedelo's plan is to banish something at some point.
I figured
He knows that Friedelo's plan
I'd still have to deal with a hand trap after I clear his board.
that is.
I just wasn't sure
quite
which
the
hand
grip of
traps he
the
had.
responses in his hand. That is a Ghost Mourner as well as I believe. Was that an effect failure?
I think so. The Fake Veiler will be a little more useful than that Ghost Mourner.
Well,
Oh!
the Dark Ruler no more.
That's actually really good because he didn't move up the IP. Not that it would have mattered because it would have been hit by the Dark Ruler no more, but that's pretty good. I'm a big fan of Dark Ruler no more, but in the main deck for Floowandereeze, that's a pretty hot tech.
I think that's one of the real values of Floowandereeze is they can really focus on the board because they don't need to stop most of what Snake Eyes is doing. You're not really worried about potentially getting a monster hit with with SP or losing a monster to Promethean Princess. Like a lot of that is
Yeah,
just okay.
the
It's
Dark
just
Ruler
dealing
evenly
with
combo is kind of
whatever
crazy here.
Cards actually interact with your cards by negating them, and that's something that Dark Ruler can take care of very easily.
Yeah, it definitely gets those pesky things like Appaloosa out of the way. Normally, smart heads-up play here from Andrew Friedel, probably why he made it this far with something like Dark Ruler No More in the main deck. I love that card. That's a card that's like almost always in my side deck because when you're playing tournament, you know, oh, this is the 1-2 punch. Dark Ruler No More goes to battle phase, into battle phase, evenly matched.
That is a nightmare. But at least you know you're surviving the turn, but you will not have nearly as many resources as your opponent by the end of this.
Yeah, this is
Yeah,
huge.
so they
Do you
always
think
end on Flamebirch here.
Fridela's deck is designed to go second? It has to be, right? Is this go second Floowandereeze?
No, I just think that's what Floowandereeze looks like. It's just so good. It's just so good at going first, but you might as well play cards strictly to break the fields, if not.
That's cool. Unexpected. That's cool. Unexpected. Let's see what he decides to keep here. Evenly matched is going to even things out. Jose is going to have to banish everything but one card face down since Friedel only has one card on the field.
Opting to keep the Flame Verge, that is going to be your follow-up.
All right.
You know, more
So,
resources for you. I think if you had
I'm gonna
some
pause the
more-
video here. So at this point, I need terraforming, adventure, map, calorie, just to like absolutely win the game. Unfortunately, this is like the one misplay I did make in retrospect, but I'll explain my reasoning in a minute.
the Lines of Infinite Impermanence set, I might have even just kept that. Because you did have another Flame Bridge in the graveyard. Well, that is a pretty solid Pot of Prosperity.
So like I'm a little annoyed at this point. I didn't see like map,
So you're definitely not
adventure,
getting
like
shifted.
any of the card, any
Likely
of
not getting the
those.
tactics, but Eaglin is
So this is the mistake. So I have Verbena Featherstorm in my hand. So my thought with taking talents at the time was I knew he had a hand trap. I just didn't know which one. I ruled out Ash because I felt like you would always be ashing Prosperity here for the most part. Unless he's really just like, or he could have been holding for the Eaglin. I don't think that's like the correct play though. So like it's like it's like if he draws me here, since I didn't draw like adventure map or anything, I felt I could talents to take the Flame Birch to make Typhon. And like maybe live a turn. Or like look at his hand and just. But like in retrospect, I should have just grabbed Eaglin. Because I had Featherstorm. And if I normal summon Eaglin and he stops it, it buys me another turn. So I should have definitely grabbed Eaglin here. But
It's fine.
we'll speed it up a little bit.
You are going to get the tactics. Was an effect activated this turn? Very interesting. Going after the Triple Tactics talents. After the Dark Ruler and the Evenly no effects for activating the main phase, you're not going to be able to potentially draw off it, but like, it seems like you don't have any need for any of the rest of the cards, so potentially being able to look at your opponent's hand if there is an interruption.
Yeah, it's kind of a
And
heads
then
up
I'm
play
just
there
like,
from Fredella.
really? I still don't see like
Prosperity, and then
terraforming, gallery, adventure map.
Stree is the one that lets you banish a card from the graveyard, and then no
I'm just like annoyed at this
I like
point.
Stree.
I went 9 cards
Stree
deep and I still didn't
definitely
see
more
like any of
useful
those
now. There's
cards.
so many relevant grave effects, but because there are things that could potentially go wrong, because for every Floowandereeze monster, the first effect has to happen to get the additional effect to normal summon. So there are things that can interact.
So
with the
we
graveyard
can
pretty easily,
speed up
especially
here
if
a
the
little
card
bit
moves
because
to the
you,
graveyard. If
I
you're not
think you can
able
see
to
the
banish
effect
the monster
value in his hand.
card that you targeted with the Stree, if it moves for some other reason, the Stree will not resolve further to get additional normal summon. So it has typically been the more.
So I normal Rabina
You know, the
and
thing that's cool about Stree is if you pot of Prosperity into a Dimension Shifter, you get that pot of
he
Prosperity out
Veilers,
of your
and that's the
graveyard.
end of that story.
Or, you know, just taking out the level ones. But there is the effect veiler.
We'll just spin. Go ahead. And,
Oh, 'cause he did not trigger to win, did he? No, you can effect veiler.
okay, there we go. All right, so game 2, I opened
All right,
pretty
does
nice.
look like Fredella is not going to be too bold. Going to
Um,
go first with his
I have
Floowandereeze
the
cards.
Featherstorm
Going
loop
to normal
in my
summon
hand.
Floowandereeze and Robina. Let's see.
Yeah, we talk about.
I don't think a lot of people know how to do it correctly though, so I hope this video shows you how to do it correctly.
Crazy putting
This is why like I really value like playing Featherstorm in the main board.
Summons on your opponent's turn, but I think the scariest thing is not even the
There's
shifter.
the call.
It's going to
There's the
be
call
the
by that saves
Featherstorm.
me right there.
Definitely, Featherstorm is scary, especially in games 2 and 3 when you know they're coming in. But effect veiler is going to be met by called by the grave, so he's going to be able to resolve Rabina this time around, despite not being able to finish it in game number 1.
Yeah, we talked about the powerful combinations of Rabina plus spell. That wasn't the spell I really thought of, but I guess it works.
It's good enough. Good enough here in this situation. Got to check what called by the grave does.
I guess just confirming what Call by the Grave does.
Yeah, interesting. But so Robina.
Yeah, I thought that was weird.
Eaglin's going to normal summon after that. Then Floowandereeze and Eaglin's going to add Floowandereeze and Impen. Then the effect's going to resolve to normal summon again. Tribute both for Floowandereeze and Impen. Chainlink 1 Impen's going to add a Floowandereeze spell or trap from the deck to the hand. Chainlink 2 Robina. Chainlink 3 Eaglin. Both those little birds are going to fly right back into the hand. And now let's see what he decides to add for Impen. It's either going to be the trap, Dreaming Town, or it looks like it is going to be Dreaming or the field spell.
Surprising to see If
Yeah,
you do not
I have the
more
full.
ways to extend, you usually kind of get the map here. Try to force your
If
way
you ever
into
shift,
another imp and
when
summon
you
Dreaming
so in
Town
this
that way.
situation, whenever you shifter or have Featherstorm going first, and you have engine, you can always you just basically have game at this point.
All right, thins his deck out a little bit before he activates Pod Duality. He's going to be looking for...
Like the game
Well,
is
that's
just
a lot
over.
more engine. You don't really need those right now. But I do see a powerful card in his hand.
Is it Shifter?
No, it's close. It's close.
Oh, is it the trap card?
It is the trap card. Well, no, it's not. It's not the trap card, but it's a very similar trap card to Shifter. Oh well, we might have both.
Oh, Triple Tactics Thrust is going to let him set any spell or trap from his deck, especially powerful in Floowandereeze because they can grab Harvey's Featherstorm.
There it is.
In Floowandereeze because they can grab Harvey's Featherstorm. Andrew Fidel might be evening things out here fairly quickly.
Yeah, at this point, I'm like, the game's
something along the
over.
lines of Red Reboot, which is no longer legal for tournament play. I don't know how Jose's going to
I'm
be able to
like,
get
no
out.
shot. He plays Kaijus.
It's going to be tough. He does have Subversion, so he can lead with that.
When he activated it, I thought it was really funny.
Dealing with the Impin at the same time.
When he activated it, I thought it was really funny.
Now he just has to wait another turn because there's really nothing you can do once Featherstorm has resolved.
And then I gotta
Maybe
swing
something along the
Featherstorm
lines of
for
activating
like
a temple.
the 10th time that tournament.
Yeah, Divine Temple to Snake Eye is a good failsafe for a lot of things that can go wrong.
Very similar to the Floowandereeze strategy of if your opponent plays a card, then you start playing on their turn. Not really playing severely, but you're just generating more resources for yourself, putting bodies on the field so you don't take a lot of damage.
Yeah, and at least being able to set up for the following turn. Yeah, survive and set up for follow-up is really solid. All right, let's see what Jose is going to do next. The thing about Floowandereeze is even if you deal with their turn, you know that the birds are all going to come down again next turn because Robina and Eaglin are both in the hand. He's going to have to pass thanks to Featherstorm.
This is
like this. He's
so during this is the combo right here,
is
guys.
Very powerful. If he doesn't take
So-
all the damage next turn, he will be able to potentially put himself back in the game with how powerful his hand.
We Dreaming Town for Ryza. We
But
summon Rabina.
not putting cards in the field makes certain that you are not putting them vulnerable to something along
You just
the lines
grab
of
like
unexplored
another
lands,
bird.
Yep.
as well as Mega Ryza.
Yeah, it looks like before
And
Jose
this is
was
the
able to
cool
finish his
combo,
turn,
guys.
Fidel wanted to use the Dreaming Town, so he's able to normal summon on Jose's turn. Summons Robina, Eaglin. Goes
So I
into
reset
Ryza,
the
Mega
end pen
Monarch,
to the top of my deck and the
And it looks like
Featherstorm,
he's
drawing
going
the
to
Featherstorm for
try and put
turn.
his Impin
You
on
bounce
top
back
of
the
his deck.
Ryza to your hands.
Or he's always putting Featherstorm on top of
And
the
it's
deck. trying to
basically
get
an
into the
infinite
hand.
loop.
That is the infinite, and I don't know if there's any counter to that. That is the infinite, and I don't know if there's any counter.
And you could also return... No, he's putting them both on top of the deck. Okay. Oh, because he did not tribute a win, did he? No, Eaglin's a win. Well, either way, Featherstorm's on top of the deck. The Impin's in the deck to be able to be searched again. He's going to be able to Featherstorm him again on the following turn. What do you think Jose's like thinking about how he's going to get out of this here in this game?
I think he's thinking about when he should concede.
Seeing if he can get more information maybe out of his opponent.
Yeah, because clearly he was not able to play on the previous turn. I don't think that's going to change on the next turn. And he sees that as long as Ryza is able to bounce itself, this is going to be almost infinite loop. So it's just a matter of time until you take the damage.
But you still take the damage.
And we're looping the Dreaming Town as well with the Toucan.
Yeah, Street being able. I love Street and Toucan together. You can kind of get any Floowandereeze card out of your graveyard and back into your hand because you can banish it and add it back to Toucan. Now he's going to tribute both. The other two Floowandereeze monsters are going to add themselves back to the hand. Chainlinks 2 and 3. Chainlink 1 Impin is going to add.
The Floowandereeze engine is
Unexplored
actually so
Winds.
sick. It's the way it plays is really cool. It's just what it does at the end is a little less cool. It feels a little disrespectful when you get hit with the Harpy's Featherstorm. But every individual actual Floowandereeze card is so interesting.
Like 90% of people usually concede, but I guess he wanted
Still
to play
has
it
a
out
dimension
still.
ground in hand. Didn't have to use because you do have
Oh, that's the
Featherstorm.
trap you were talking about.
Yeah.
Different dimension ground. That is a good one.
Yeah, Andrew Fidel came prepared with multiple options here.
Yeah, he definitely chose to go anti-meta here this weekend, bringing the Floowandereeze strategy.
Yep, so we talked about this a little bit earlier. The Unexplored Winds, as well as the Dreaming Town set, gives Fredella the options to use his opponent's cards for his tribute summons and makes it that much easier to make sure that there is nothing keeping Carlo on the defensive. He's going to be able to have a clean swing for the remainder of his life points on the following turn. That's going to get through the Harpy's Featherstorm. And yeah, finally we're going to hit the concession, and we're going to be able to go into Game 3 with plenty of time.
Plenty of time on the clock. 23 minutes still ticking down.
We're going to see the unfortunate things that happen in Game 3.
I think there's a lot of skill.
All because I didn't grab Eagle in Game 1.
It has so many options, even if it does seem fairly linear. Its grind game is insane. I think it is actually one of the coolest decks. It's just, it's a shame how much it wins with the spells and traps.
Definitely. I mean, it makes normal summons look like special summons.
I'm going to speed up a little bit.
It is definitely a unique strategy, and it has been like a contender pretty much since its release, whether it is because of how consistent it is, and as you mentioned, like seeing Skilled Pilot helps really well with the deck, but I think, yeah, back behind the cards like Featherstorm and Shifter really is why it keeps popping up every now and then throughout.
Thinking about getting a new roof for your home in the next year or so?
Well, I don't have YouTube Premium, guys.
The past couple of years, but we are going to jump into it. Game number 3, the last game of the tournament for one of these players. They could play the last round, even if they lose, but they probably won't make top 32. And let's see how Jose's going to open. Who do you see? Dark Ruler no more. I got to whisper because we are.
I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I opened Shifter. I was just like one bird away.
And it's very quiet here on Sunday in the morning. So if you're wondering why we're kind of keeping our voices down just a little bit, so we don't have them to hear what we're saying, and they're directly in front of us. So it looks like Jose's just going to set 2 cards into Shifter.
He does have different permanents, though, so that will potentially keep him.
Oh!
And I opened 5 spells in my hand.
Because
of course.
Really put a wrench in that strategy when his hand is full of.
That is 5 spells.
5 spells set pass! He said, I'll see your Shifter and raise you an anti-spell fragrance.
Oh, and we're drawing a popper. We have a lot of monsters there. You do have the Dispel Strike to clear up the anti-spell fragrance if you want to be able to push through and activate all your own spells. I mean, realistically, when your Floowandereeze opponent sets 5, beyond different terms, I don't think you're actually afraid of anything, so you try to play as normally as possible, right? You can just clear your own anti-spell because you're not actually worried about them being real spells and traps to be interruptions.
Yeah, the worst it could be is an infinite permanence, right?
Yep, he's clearing his own anti-spell.
Wow. Wow. Anti-spell fragrance freshly limited to... Is it? It is Eldritch.
Yeah, so at this point, there wasn't really a point to keep on playing, but... So at this point, there wasn't really a point to keep on playing. So that was really it. That was my 3rd loss. So that was really it. That was my 3rd loss. Oh, connection. Let's go back to the deck a little bit. I'll try to explain a little bit more. So I think I mentioned earlier that... Oh, that's not the right deck. So I think I mentioned earlier that... Oh, that's not the right deck. Alright. So, pretty much like going first, generally, is pretty simple. Harpy's Featherstorm and Different Dimension Ground go in for Dark Ruler and evenly. The exception for a Different Dimension Ground would be like maybe against Kashtira or like a matchup where Different Dimension Ground doesn't do anything. You do like Unexplored Winds. You do sideboard a little bit differently against like Runic or the Mirror match. So like against Kashtira 2, I would side out the Shifters and board in. For Cosmics and for just Cosmics and either Feather Duster or Herald the Abyss. Or even the 1 Ash. It just really depends. Going second against Snake Eyes for the most part. I would board. These are the 6 I would board in, and these are the 6 I board out. Trying to remember what was the last card. Oh, it's Terra. So I would generally board these out going second. Oh, I'm sorry. The brick goes into. Okay, so one big thing. Okay. One big thing here. So against pure Snake Eye, these are the 6 I board in generally. Against Fire King, I side in Herald over Dark Ruler. The reason being is like. Generally, the Fire King version only ends on like 1 Link monster, usually Appaloosa against me. So like Dark Ruler's not really effective. So I'd rather just have the Herald to immediately deal with the Appaloosa at that point. But generally speaking, these are the 6 I board in going second. But yeah, that is the deck and the feature match review. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'll try to stream a little bit more often. I'm gonna try to stream at least once or twice a week. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching.